Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 176. We're a podcast that talks about pop culture things that interest us. And sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John, and I'm
Mhm.
joined as always by Andrea. How's it going?
Good, good. Happy, post-Thanksgiving weekend to you. How was your
Hmm.
holiday?
Yeah. All in all, pretty good. Couple things here and there, but all in all, pretty good. And, I didn't eat too bad on Thanksgiving, but today I fulfilled that aspect of the holiday, eating very poorly, so, yeah.
So are you, like, someone who loves the meal the day of? Or are you, like, a hardcore leftovers person? Or was this just a coincidence and a one-off?
Well,
'Cause I feel like some people have
typically
strong feelings about, like, I like the meal fresh made, and, like, other people are like, the leftovers. Like, I will eat as little as possible day of, and then I'll, make my,
mm,
like, turkey hash or turkey sandwich, now
mhm,
turkey, like, waffles and, you can make, like, the waffles
sure.
out of the mashed potatoes and stuff, like, all kinds of creative stuff you can do, but I feel like that's some people's jam, that's what they live for.
I'm in the middle there somewhere. I mean, I think one of the best things about Thanksgiving is all the sides and then having the leftovers. So
Okay.
but I don't like I'm not like, "Oh, I'm gonna skimp on the day of," necessarily. It's nice to have those combinations, for a few days afterwards. But when we don't host often, we don't have the same kinda leftovers. So, that's where we
Okay.
sorta, like, made another Thanksgiving meal today. So,
Okay.
we would
Is it
will
and is it
now
the
we
stuff
will
that
now
you
have
like?
leftovers. Yeah, I mean, it's just all the, like, typical stuff, So, we got turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy and
Mhm.
cranberry sauce, and, we made sort of a savory bread pudding, so it's kind
Oh,
of a
sure.
replacement for stuffing,
Mhm.
and, yeah, good bread and then some dessert, so, yeah.
Nice.
Now I'm happy because otherwise, when I come home, it's the next day, I'm sorta sad. It's like, "Well, I had good food yesterday, but now I can't,
Where's all my
partake."
delicious food today? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, how about you? Do you feel strongly about that sort of thing?
Um, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, I am aware of times past where I have, like, overindulged on Thanksgiving because I love everything, like, ready and hot and fresh made the day of. But in recent years, I've been a little bit more judicious in my eating, especially when there's, like, appetizers and stuff, and it's like, "Nope, nope, nope, keep it away." So I can enjoy the food that I want, but then, like, have lots of leftovers. Cause yeah, I feel like Thanksgiving food is great reheatable food. Like, it
Yeah.
still tastes whatever it is, it's still good, like, for
Yes.
days afterwards. So, yeah, I love it.
Absolutely. Great. Well, yeah, I mean, it, food aside, I hope you got to
Mhm,
spend some family time. Hope all you out there got to spend time with your family and stuff.
mhm.
Especially if you're in the US and celebrating.
And
So
watch
we'll
some
talk.
football.
Yeah, we'll maybe talk a little bit about, other things that have occurred over the Thanksgiving week and weekend here. Um, but before that, we'll have drink holidays we got to talk about. And then
Mhm,
the big deal of the show, that you can tell by the title, is Dune Prophecy. So
mhm.
we've talked about Dune, the movies, the latest movies on here. But now there's a TV show on HBO Max. And the first two episodes are out. The third episode drops tomorrow night. And so we'll get into those first two episodes here. But yeah, I got our weeks and drink holidays. It's a good week for drinking, right?
Yes, that's what they say about Thanksgiving. It
It-
is a heavy drinking holiday, which, on the
okay.
surface, it doesn't seem like it, but, boy, the memes, and things I've seen going around about drinking around Thanksgiving, I think there's, like, a buildup of culture now around, like, "Oh my god, there's so much, like, family together time, and there's nothing else to do," that, like, people cope with, like, you know,
Mm,
awkward family interactions at Thanksgiving by drinking, and now it's, like, building up into a huge thing. So,
mhm.
yeah.
See, that's it. I was trying to tell someone sorry, but before I get into
No,
drinks
no,
here,
no,
I was
go,
trying
go,
to
go.
tell someone at the gym that I don't think he and I didn't explain it that well, but I don't think he grasped what I was saying about I don't have the ability typically part to even be a part of what the memes you're talking about would allow. Like awkward interactions, that sort of thing. Our family stuff is so small
Oh,
and it's
sure,
just so
yeah.
familiar. It's not like
Mhm.
everybody, it's all the memes of like the whatever crazy uncle coming over and
Mhm.
saying some it's like the wife saying, just keep the whatever down, over the family dinner. And then 15 minutes later, launching into
Right,
whatever. I don't
right,
really
everybody
have
is yeah.
any of those things because everybody knows what everybody thinks, and it's just like so small now. So do you have
Yeah.
the fortune slash misfortune? I'd say fortune of like having the potential for something awkward and exciting, or is it just like,
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like not as much anymore. I feel like part of those like memes and stuff is around like how much extended family comes to Thanksgiving, and I don't really have that so much anymore. And also in prior years, I definitely had this happen, which, also people makes people turn to drinking, which is like the questions, the life step questions. Oh, you come home from
Mm,
college. Are you seeing anybody? Oh, is
sure.
it serious? What are you going to do with your life? Like, oh, when are you getting married? When are you having kids? All of the like
Right.
really probing, like, borderline nosy and inappropriate stuff. Um, that you'd be like, "Oh god, like, here I go again with this round of questions, better, grab
Mhm.
that 3rd glass of wine." I don't have that anymore 'cause I'm
Yeah.
married, I have children, like, I
Yeah.
have a career,
What
like,
other
there's
questions?
nothing
Yeah.
right, there's nothing, like, surprising anymore.
Mm.
There's no mystery left, I guess. So, I don't have to deal with, like, the barrage anymore.
Hmm.
Though
Yeah.
I did sadly, and this isn't quite on my family, but it was, like, a little bit like, "Oof, boy." Um, the girls weren't able to make it to my family Thanksgiving this year. We went to both our families, and mine, held theirs during the girls' nap time,
Mm.
and I was like, "Ugh, sorry," with, like, both the girls being on, same nap time, like, that's just really bad idea to try, like, have dinner, and have them not
Yeah.
nap at all. As we both know, that's a rough
Mhm.
day. And so I did get a lot of like, oh, I wish the girls could make it. I wish the girls could make it. And I was like, I understand. And then by like the 12th time somebody said it, it was like, I get it. I am aware that you would like to see my children. But we're gonna try again. Hopefully, they
Mhm.
won't be napping forever. So
Yep. Yep. There's time for more get-togethers. There's Christmas
right,
around the
right.
corner. Mhm.
Right, exactly.
Let's plan meals at a different time.
Exactly. Let us all gather and eat and make excessive food. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, at a different time, a month down the road.
Yep.
As
Yep.
my aunt was saying, it was really funny, we sat down to Thanksgiving and, it was this big, beautiful meal, so many different things, table all set, and, like 15 minutes later, we were all like, "Well, that's done." So much work and planning and, getting the house ready,
Yep.
everybody, coming in, and it's just like, "Well, that was dinner."
Yeah. We always do it early, so I feel like it's never done. I mean, even when we're not hosting or whatever, because then it's like still getting the scramble to get stuff ready and then eating, and then there's kind
Mhm.
of people at a different pace of eating, and then it's
Yes.
sort of dessert, and then people hang out, whatever. But you gotta kind of clean up to be ready for then putting out snacks and later stuff, and so
Yes. Yep. So yours sounds like an all-day kind of marathon going on.
yeah. So yeah, well, like
Like,
we went
everybody
to
gets
my
ready to do the whole
parents.
day.
Yeah, we went to my parents, and then kind of before lunch. a little bit, had lunch, and then the kids napped there
Okay.
while we all visited, and then they got from napping and played and stuff, and then snacks and whatever. So
Sure. Sure.
yeah,
That sounds nice.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, you were gonna talk about drink holidays.
Yes, luckily the drink holidays this week are short. They all feel pretty related. There are two wine holidays. November 20th was Zinfandel Day. 21st is Beaujolais Nouveau Day. Again, breezing right through that. Hope I'm saying it right. But it's basically like the wine that's like the first opened bottle of the season. It's like
Okay.
new grapes, new wine, and it's, like, originated in France, and I was just, like, looking it up a little bit because I was like, "I forget this every year what this is." But
Yeah.
it's like opening the first bottle of the season, and it's a particular day that they all celebrate. So, cool. And
Sweet.
I say both of those feel related because I feel like wine is pretty standard at, like, a Thanksgiving table, so, you
Mhm.
know, and then there is, I think, a newer holiday that's emerged in the past couple of years, and it's called Drinksgiving. And it is the night before Thanksgiving. It's really started out of like college kids getting together, like, everybody's home um, for the weekend from, or, from for the holiday from college. Like you're in your hometown, you get together with like your high school friends, catch
Mm.
up, like go get a drink, and you're like, hey, what's everybody
Gotcha.
doing? How's life? The night before you go eat a big meal with your family. So,
Interesting. I've
yeah.
never even thought to attempt that sort of thing.
Yeah, like I said,
Mm.
I think it's more recent. It also I think is variable depending on whether or not you enjoy seeing your friends that you had in high school, that is entirely subjective. I am one of the people who enjoyed seeing my friends, though I don't know that we like got together the night before Thanksgiving. I think we usually did it
Okay.
after and just like hung out somewhere. But yeah,
Okay. Cool.
that's it.
Nice. Well, are you celebrating any of these things or adjacent anyways?
I mean, Drinksgiving can really be anything. So sort of. I made myself like a blend cocktail because I was thinking about
Okay.
our show tonight and I was thinking about Dune themed cocktails. So I kind of made like a mix of two. And
Okay.
because it was like stuff that I had, I was like, I have exactly half of each of these. So I'm just gonna like pair them together. So
Okay.
I made half of a spice of arrakis and half of a Dune spice splash drink.
Okay. So what are these things?
The luckily, like, both what ties them, like, the base is bourbon. So I was like,
Okay.
"Okay, well, bourbon, that's a
Wait,
good
are
start."
these drinks? Or did you invent these drinks?
I didn't invent these. They are drinks. Like, one of them
Oh,
is,
wow.
the Dune Spice Splash is what, like, the AMC bars served
Okay.
with Dune
Mhm.
showings, and then a Spice of Arrakis, like, I kept showing up everywhere. I can't exactly tell who did this, but it was, like, an homage to a
Well,
description in Dune of a drink.
okay. Cool. I like
So
that.
this guy is mixologist Winston Green of Tonic Santa Fe, and it was like everywhere where I looked for like um a Dune inspired cocktail. So I was like, okay,
Okay.
like I can do some of this.
Nice. All right. So yeah. So what are they?
So yeah, so it's got whiskey, a liqueur, a blood orange liqueur, apple, like apple cider, and then
Okay.
sherry, bay leaf bitters, and spice melange for dusting.
Oh, well.
So yeah, that is the Sands of Arrakis. And then where is the spice splash?
The Bay leaf.
I did not have that.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
that's part of, like, why
No.
I was like, I can't do this. This isn't gonna work out." So, the spice splash is Maker's Mark. They're very specific about that. Um, Midori, pineapple, and top with Sprite and float with cranberry and add a dash of bitters.
Okay. Hmm.
So I did most of that. I did not have
Sure.
Midori or pineapple, but I had, bourbon, I had cranberry, Sprite, and bitters. And then I also did and it all sank, so you can't see it now, but I did some, like, Goldschlager in there because I was like, "Oh, it's gonna look like little spice
Oh,
flecks." So, yeah, and both of
nice.
them top with orange. So,
Cool.
cheers.
Yeah, yeah, cheers. Orange sort of reminds me of like looking into the mouth of a sandworm.
Yes. Little spokes going inside. Oh my
So I
gosh,
hope
look at yours.
well, no, I
It's so
hope to
cute
show
and
this off
little.
better later because I put my own spice melange in there and it's all sunk
Nice.
to the bottom.
I know,
It
right? I was
it
just
would have
thinking that.
been yeah. So I'm hoping as this gets down there, I can jostle it a
Yes.
bit and
Right.
get some
Give it a little
proper,
swirl.
yeah, proper because it looked pretty cool to begin with. But I went very, very simple here, and I just it's just a peanut butter whiskey
Mhm.
and a low club soda. So
Dig it.
the fancy bit was supposed to be the spice melange, and then it all sunk.
I know,
So
right? Such a sad occurrence, but yeah. Cheers.
yeah, cheers. As if I haven't had enough sweet stuff this weekend, I choose peanut butter whiskey. But
I so that was the, one part of Thanksgiving that I didn't get because I had to leave
Mm.
my family Thanksgiving to go to Chris's, so I missed out on, like, the, pie because we took a
Right.
pause after dinner, so I missed out on that, and then, I got to Chris's family's and someone had been supposed to be, like, given a pie, so he was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna, like, bring that or whatever," and that person never showed up with the pie, so we had no pie. I had no pie on Thanksgiving. It was a very sad affair.
Wow. Yeah,
Mhm.
you should have taken some with you from the first party.
I know, but
Like,
I was like,
box that
"Oh,"
up.
like I know, like, I was like, "Oh, I'm being so judicious and smart because, I'm not gonna eat
Mhm.
pie
Right.
here, so then I won't be over full later," you know? Hot damn, shoulda done it.
Whoever that is should be kicked out of the family. That's if I mean, look, at our thing, we have way too much dessert because everybody
Sure,
wants to bring a dessert. It's like, "Oh, we wanna bring something? Okay, I'll bring a dessert." Everybody says that.
sure.
I guess it's, I don't know, more fun or whatever. Um, People find it easier or something, whatever. So, we have tons, but if you are the one that like, there's one person and you're
Yep,
responsible for bringing that,
yep.
that's an important responsibility now.
Yes,
I
it's
mean,
like, that's it.
yeah.
'Cause I told Chris, I was like, "Oh, we could, like, offer it," and he's like, "No, no, 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 they said they've got it." Um,
Wow.
so yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
we
you have to tell
bring
me
green
later who
bean
that is.
casserole.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
you'll laugh about it. Um, but yeah, we bring green bean casserole because that's one of my favorite dishes. I make it
Uh-huh.
a little bit differently than other people, and I love, like, fresh beans. I cannot stand, like, canned, smushy,
Okay,
ugh, you know,
okay.
half
Interesting.
brown color beans. So, like, that's
Hmm.
my jam. That's what I love. I make it a very specific way, and I've now forced it upon everybody.
I wonder if I've had it. You bet I wanna try this now because
I
I don't
mean,
have many
10 bucks says
complaints
you
about
have.
right, probably. It's just probably been like a decade.
Right, I know, right? It's been a while. We actually were talking about, our Friendsgiving that we used to do because someone was asking, like, "So how does a turducken work?" And I was like, "Oh, let me tell
Mm,
you, and then let me tell you about
yeah.
Scherpumpel because I know this."
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It just got to be it's like I thought about it, um, but then especially now with kids, it just ends up being a
Mhm.
lot of things all of a sudden in a row.
Yeah.
And so, like, I hope if a person can make some sort of, you know, halfway thing that is maybe again at a restaurant or whatever, because all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's, between like going from Oktoberfest to a Halloween party and then something else again quick and then having
For
family
sure.
things in and amongst. But
Oh, for sure. No, the end of the year is jam-packed, so
mhm.
but yeah, I just thought it was a fun, like, trip down memory lane because somebody asked about
Yeah.
it, and I was like, "Oh, I know, I know." I mean, I don't know quite as, well as you do, but, you know.
But do you know watching Jacques Pepin debone a bird in like 20 seconds flat, and then I'm sitting there for like an hour. I think I got it. They get all the bones. Oh my god. Stupid.
Everybody's gotta start somewhere.
Yeah. Mhm. So, okay, well, we'll talk about a little bit what we've been watching the rest of the week, and then we'll get into
Mhm,
Dune. Before we do that, just everybody out there, please like, share, subscribe, all those sorts of
mhm.
things. We're on podcast directories. We're live now on YouTube, X, Twitch, and Kick. So any of
Mhm.
those places, go ahead and give us a follow. It
Yeah,
would
hear
be
more about our
appreciated.
family holidays.
I know. Yeah. You can skip over that part later if you want, whatever. Or you
I
relates
don't
to
know.
it,
I was gonna say, I think it's the good stuff, man. Don't skip
Yeah.
over it.
Oh, hey, so I started a thing that you always watch, the Great British Baking Show.
Yes! I love it. John, I love it.
Um,
Where you
we're
at?
we're just we just started season 12. We just started on the like latest season. We didn't go all the way back or whatever, and we just watched the
So
first
fun.
3 episodes.
So
So
fun.
yeah, I was
Yes.
shocked that like IT crowd guy was on there. I was like, what is he doing here? And
Yeah.
it was a very weird opening and like me coming in not having any familiarity with any of the
Oh god,
people.
yeah.
I was like, what is happening right now? But
No, they
I'm
do
glad that
the
we
weirdest stuff.
yeah, it is definitely weird stuff. But like then you get the vibe of it and how the show
Mhm.
goes. And so I was
Yes.
so at first we're like, why is everybody ill? What are they pumping into the air in the tent? It was like fainting or like I gotta go
I
sit
know.
down or
I
Jesus.
know. Ugh,
So
yeah, you started with an odd one, in the sense that, yeah, like, a lot of people fell ill. You get introduced right away to, like, the concept where, like, if somebody falls ill and can't make it, they do the, like, nobody gets eliminated, and then it's, like, double elimination the next week,
mm,
but then they didn't have
okay.
to really do that because the guy, gets sick
Yeah.
again and, it's like a whole kind of forwarding mess, but yeah, yeah. I don't
Weird.
wanna give it away for, like, people who may
Yeah.
be still watching it, but, it does get messy when people get sick, and so it is
Yeah.
hard to, like, kind of get into that rhythm when
Mhm.
that's what you're introduced to right away.
So, yeah, Ashley is usually not too with kids
I
now,
love it.
she's more eager and willing to get into Christmas things earlier. So,
Mm,
we've been, like, in background things so we didn't Great British Baking, season 12,
mhm.
episode 1 through 3, watch Harry Potter Baking, episodes 1 and 2,
Jealous.
and then, watched some of the, like, Food Network's holiday baking championship stuff too. So,
Nice,
just a little bit of that
nice.
here and there. So,
Oh,
lots
yeah,
of
you'll
baking.
you'll love it. Great British Baking Show does a holiday episode as well. Um And they've done a bunch of different stuff, like, some seasons it's been, like, they do a Christmas one and a New Year's one. Sometimes they do, like, half and half. Sometimes they bring back, like, past bakers. Now, more
Mhm.
recently, they've been getting, like, people from, like, a TV show or, like, a hot
Mm.
play, and they do, like, kind of, like, best amateur, like, that can range from really good to really awful. Because, none of the people here, even though they can be bad sometimes, are actual, like, you know, terrible bakers. They're
Right.
just amateur good people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I love it.
Nice. So yeah, that's been good. And then sticking with the British stuff, it got back into Taskmaster finally.
Oh,
We'd seen the first two
yeah.
series of that, and
That's been
so
a
started
while.
series 3. That's just a good fun time to
Mhm.
kick back and have something on. And then lots of Bond stuff, and then Dune. So I've
Yeah,
got my big Dune book here. I'm not super far if
I can tell.
yeah, yeah. But
That's okay.
it's good so far. So yeah, I'm working on it slowly because I'm honestly going back and forth. Like last night, I read a few chapters in Goldfinger, and then I read a couple chapters in Dune. So
Nice.
it's back and forth. But yeah, um, that's about it. That's about it. I see in your list. It also looks like you were busy with other things.
Indeed. Yes. Yes. When you have a partner who is off hunting for the week of Thanksgiving, and you are solo parenting, there's not a lot of just like downtime to watch TV. And if there is, it's kids TV.
Yep.
Um, so yeah. So basically any screen time I've had has been child screen time. Notable exceptions are football, of course, on Thanksgiving,
Mm.
because that's a given in my household, and the Packers played on Thanksgiving, so had to watch that. And then yeah,
Oh, they did,
s-
huh? Okay.
they did at
Was it the
night.
night game? Okay.
Yep,
All
they
right.
did it at night. They played the Dolphins at night, and Tua emerged without a concussion, which is a miracle on Thanksgiving, as insider sports people will know. Good God.
Did the
Um,
Packers pull it out then, or
they did. They did. They beat the Dolphins
okay,
as they should have. Um,
okay.
so no big worries there. Um, Yeah, it was an interesting day of football. Um,
Yeah, I watched the middle of the day game or whatever,
the
and,
Cowboys and the Giants?
um,
Or are you
no,
talking the
Lions.
11:30
Yeah,
Lions? Okay.
Lions and Chiefs? Who was it?
No, the
Lions, Bears.
Chiefs were,
Lions and Bears.
yeah, the Chiefs were Black Friday, which is also a newer thing
Yeah.
that they're doing now, the Black Friday game. I don't love it.
Oh, really? I
Um,
caught the end of that. I didn't know it was on, and we had some people
yes,
over and then
I forget
heard
it.
it was on, and so I was like, "Okay, well, yeah, I got Prime, so we'll put that on."
Yeah. I forget it all the time, and then I come in, like, halfway, or it's like when they do the Saturday games, they do that, like, one random Saturday a year. This year, they started the season with the Packers in Brazil on a Friday, and I was like, "What?" Like, I mean, I paid attention because it was the Packers, but it's just not what
Mhm.
they generally do, so I forget all the time.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
yeah.
really thought the Bears were gonna manage it there,
Oh
but
my god,
some
so many memes about the clock mismanagement at the end of the
yeah.
game, and, I mean, totally predictably, the Bears head coach has been fired. So, he's
Ah,
gone.
okay, okay.
Eberfluss, he is
Oh.
gone.
You mean when it's right at the end of the game and you have a timeout left and you don't use it, that's not a good call?
It's so weird. It's so weird. It's like anyone would make that call, except he was,
Yeah,
like, gonna be bold on Thanksgiving and
yeah.
not make it.
Uh,
We're gonna find out he's a
okay.
plant from the Lions.
Yeah, right? Mhm, mhm. That's what my
Uh,
brother-in-law would say, "Well, the Lions were supposed to win, so they did."
yeah.
So, yeah.
They're continuing their dominance, so nothing surprising on Thanksgiving there. Yeah, I think all the kinda, like, hometown Thanksgiving teams won. It was
Okay,
Detroit, the Cowboys beat the Giants, which again, they should have because the Giants are terrible. Um, and the Packers beat the Dolphins, so
okay. Alright.
worked out. But yeah, that's basically my week. Football and Dune. I snuck in Dune, which they
Nice.
are long episodes, so I feel good about it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Again, we get spoiled, so we'll move into that. We'll start talking about Dune. It is weird to think about, but I say it all the time. Like we're a television series. This is supposed to be, I think, just 6 episodes. But again,
Mhm.
if each episode is an hour, you know, we got three
It's a mini
movies on our
movie.
hands here.
Mhm.
It's it's we're a plethora of content.
Yes.
So Doom Prophecy, I had been looking forward to it for quite a while, but
Mhm.
worried. It's sort of that thing I said before with even with the Penguin, whereas I think that the Batman is so well shot, that is it gonna be distracting to see a TV show that
Mhm.
TV show budget, whatever,
Right.
And, so I thought for sure with Dune, again, one of the best looking set of films, how is the TV show gonna be? And then it's based on stories that aren't like Frank Herbert's stories.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so worried, whatever. But, all of a sudden,
Yeah,
here it is.
it's not like HBO has a great track record of going off story in big, big series. Game
Oh,
of Thrones.
well, yeah, I don't know if I shared it with you or not, or I saved it to my phone. It was talking about, like it was listing the sort of overall sort of Metacritic kinda scores of the
Mhm.
episodes and the seasons of Game of Thrones, and how, like, they're color coded, so it's just a green, 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 and then literally the last season, yellow, yellow, red, red, red. It's just, like, such a incredible,
Yeah.
stark downfall, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Ah,
so
Stark, you said it. Drink.
like, yep, very
That
good.
was a terrible pun, and I loved it. Drink.
It wasn't it was totally unintentional, so, yeah,
I know, but it was good.
unintended. But yeah, Dune, so remind everybody what your familiarity is with Dune.
Sure, yeah. I have seen the first Dune movie. I saw the old school Dune movie as well. Um, Gosh, with what's his face? It's like Kyle Chandler, I think his name is.
Mm. I
Like
know the movie, yeah,
right,
the
right.
'70s, yeah,
Yes. Yep, I've
David
seen
Lynch.
that. I have not seen the second Dune, because Chris
Man,
and I have
yeah.
been yeah, Chris and I have supposed to have been seen it together. And it's like one of those things where I was like, "Oh, we made all these plans to do it and then we never did." But I feel bad like doing it without him now. So I just jumped
Mhm.
into watching Dune Prophecy on like the night he returned home from hunting for a brief respite. So
For those watching, they can see it here, she's yelling at you right now, like, how could
I
you
know. I know.
not see you do it? Well,
I
okay,
know.
I mean, we after this,
Kyle McLachlan.
we
Why did I say Kyle Chandler?
I mean, you got
That's Eric Taylor from Friday Night Lights, dude.
mm.
Oh man. Two
Oh,
wildly different actors.
yeah. I didn't recognize him older now. Okay. If
Yes. Yep. Kyle
Can you
McLachlan.
is there
Man.
a time frame here that you would like to watch Dune Part 2?
Like now.
Can you make
I
this
would like
can you
to
make this, like, before
nowish.
the year? And,
Yes.
okay. So we can
Yes.
watch the show, you can then watch Dune Part 2, and then we can have sort of a larger
So,
conversation or
I
something.
mean, I feel like luckily for me, this show made super clear that it is 10,000 years before Paul Atreides. So
Yes.
it's not like House of the Dragon where, this is like 150 years where I was like, hey, I'm catching like kind of these weird plot things because in Game of Thrones, here X happened, but then they act like X is happening, over here in House of the Dragon. And it's
Yeah.
like sort of a direct consequence. Whereas like here, it's like, boy, obviously, we have some names and stuff, but, you know,
The
events really aren't gonna like be too close of a timeline here.
the fun thing is, though, as not far as I am in Dune,
Mhm.
uh, they have already mentioned, something that comes up in this show.
Okay,
So,
that's fun.
yeah, it was fun. It's fun to read that. Okay, so yeah, you said it. This show, Dune Prophecy. So it's dealing with a book written more by Brian Herbert, Frank Herbert's son,
Mhm.
and Kevin J. Anderson, who I know from Star Wars books, but of course
Mhm.
is a large presence in further Dune books and the Dune comics and all that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, Focusing on the formation of the Bene Gesserit,
Mhm.
and at this point, just like the Sisterhood, and taking place 10,000 years before Paul Atreides.
Mhm.
And it takes place shortly after. the big war with machines, where they like
Mhm.
humanity won against the machines at the expense of the earth, basically, and now
Mhm.
been like a full stop, hey, no thinking machines allowed type of thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it's a really interesting time.
Mhm.
I'm curious to see because 10,000 years is a long time to move from
Mhm.
Dune. And so
Mhm.
I've been interested to see what is different technology wise and that sort of thing. And I really honestly haven't seen a lot of that. So
Mhm.
so that's one thing I've been kind of looking for. But anyways, that's sort of our setup. Um, hope that is good enough for everybody. It's what's your first impression? I mean, did you have high hopes going into this show? And two, like how are you feeling about it after two
Sure.
episodes?
Sure. I mean, I did have high hopes, obviously based off of the recent Dune movie that I've seen.
Hmm.
I'd hoped that the storytelling would be as good, the characters as rich, like, obviously so much of it is visual. So there's a lot pinned on what you can do visually, and you have to do a lot, and you have to do it on big scale because, the Imperium spans planets. Like, you can't just have, like, small sets. You have to have big, large sets, and you have to make things different from each other and a little bit strange because, we're, again, like, this post-apocalyptic humanity that's not depending on thinking machines. So you have to find this blend of old and new technology, and I think this show did a lot of that really well. I especially visually, loved the main planet that the Emperor lives on, Salusa Secundus. I love it. Like, it's lush, it's gorgeous, it's almost got, like, a, Star Wars feel without, I don't know, it feels a little bit more real, though. The
Mm.
world feels a little bit less like, I'm thinking when, Padme and Anakin return to her home planet of Naboo, and, like, it's, so beautiful and lush and gorgeous, but it also seems like the way that it's shot, it's almost unreal. There's too much
All
sunlight,
just like
too bright,
CG
and yeah,
and
it's
like
this weird, like, paradisey, but it doesn't feel grounded, whereas this, like, the planet looks lush but real.
right.
So I was kind of in awe, like, the first wide shot we got of that. Um, and I love the very different austere, like, Wallach 9 that the sisterhood is based on. I think that's, I think all the color is it's done well to match everybody's kind of like feel, personalities. Like, there's just like a vibe that people give off. I'm loving it.
Nice.
So
Well,
yeah, I
great.
love the world building. I am TBD on some of the storyline. I like most of the characterization. Not that I like all the characters, because I saw your note about, there's not a lot of good people here. I
Mm,
agree with that a lot. But I still like the build of characters, and they feel defined and rich and complex.
yeah.
So I'm enjoying that. I have a few maybe quibbles about some story, but it's early. It's 2 episodes, so I can
Yeah.
be a little bit gracious at this point, I think.
Yeah. I mean, as we just saw from, I mean, look, we can see that from Breaking Bad or what we just watched with the Penguin. A show doesn't have to focus on good characters so
Mhm.
long as they're real characters. They feel
Yes.
properly motivated, um, and that they could exist. And so far, for the characters that were allowed any sort of knowledge on in that way, they make sense.
Mhm.
Uh, I agree with the world building is one of my bigger worries. Again, like I
Yeah.
said, that wouldn't look right and whatever. It's a difficult thing because watching the Dune part 1 and 2, it's constrained. Like you're given a vision that's very specific of a few specific places.
Mhm.
And I like that in a sense because it allows your imagination to just fill in the rest of
Mhm.
what humanity is at this point. And that's fascinating because you just get little glimpses, little pieces, and sometimes that mystery is great. So losing some of that mystery, we see in this show, they're like going to a nightclub and sort of it's like that feels modern, that feels real, that
Mhm.
feels here, you know? And so that changes the vibe of what I
Yes.
would normally be vibing with in Dune. But it's also real. You have to understand there's people and civilization and things. It's not all the sands of Arrakis. So,
Right.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
liked, I've ultimately enjoyed what we've seen there.
Yeah, I kind of like that, in these first 2 episodes, we're not really dealing with Arrakis visually except through this, like, recording of the attack that happened, you know what I mean? Like, we're not
Yeah.
so much of, like, the Dune movies is Arrakis, and it's clear that this show is still centered around Arrakis because that's what fuels the Empire, but I like that we're not there. I like
Yeah.
that everything is happening away from there, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's a smart choice to have that done, and I think it would be a mistake to then, like, spend more than a few sequences, scenes on Arrakis ever in this show. Like,
Mhm.
I hope they don't do, like, a full episode on Arrakis because this is different. It's so clear that Arrakis is still important, but I don't think you need to visually be there and then visually compete with the movies.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I also think that this is the perfect companion show to what we have in Dune right now because I was just listening to Denis Villeneuve today about on a
Mhm,
podcast talk about, how does he manage adaptations and like how does he, and the questioner's thing was how do you do it so well? He's really like you can't just take a book like Dune that's so massive and just try to like literal adapt the whole thing. It's just not going to work. You want to get all the nuance and the depth and
mhm,
everything from the novel, you won't have it. And if you try for that, it's impossible. So you have to find the thing that you're gonna ground it with, that you're gonna focus on, and for Denny, it really is like the Bene Gesserit. Like, he said that
mhm,
in multiple interviews about how he feels that the Bene Gesserit is so important to what Dune is, um, and so he brings that forward more than you might see in other adaptations. And so the idea of getting, kind of an origin story of that, I think is just that alone is it's a good this is the perfect place to tell another
mhm.
that can enhance the films as
Mm,
opposed to just being complete offshoot or whatever. And
yes.
I like I like where we're at.
Agreed.
Okay, so yeah, with 2 episodes, I'm so far I like the casting, I like the sort of catch up, sort of exposition that we get. It does. Oh, you don't like it?
No, 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 I do. I was just thinking at the beginning that I loved it because prophecy is such, and I wrote this, it just, like, came to me. It's such a great expositional roadmap for a show. Because a prophecy is like a foretelling, so you're giving people, like, clues about what's to come. You're really road mapping a story and, either setting up an event for us to understand that your characters are going to, be players in. They're going to want something to happen or want something to not happen, so you're setting up, like, opposing forces, or you're setting up a person, that people are going to, like, gravitate to, be against, you're setting up a protagonist or an antagonist, whatever way you're doing it. Prophecy is awesome. Like, it's such a great way to signal to your audience what you're going to do. And prophecy is traditionally, like, piecemeal. There's not, like, some sort of, like, when we see prophecies shared cinematically, they're not, like, long and they're not full narration. They're just like bits and pieces. So you can do these like bits and pieces and just give a little bit of like kind of fragmented exposition, which is nice to keep it short. And also, you don't have to work too hard to create
Right.
this like full thing. And your audience will just infer, oh, it's a prophecy. It should be like kind of broken. So I don't need, you know, 12 paragraphs of text explaining everything to me. I'm going to figure it out later.
Hmm.
So honestly, I
Right.
think prophecy's like perfect way to begin a show. Um, and in this case, obviously we're dealing with a sisterhood who, goes back and forth in talking to, their sisters back and forth in time. Like, they're very loose with that. So I think it works exceptionally well.
Nice. Just real quick, anyone that is in chat, I see some
Mhm.
people watching on YouTube and on X. Feel free to like the stream and jump into the chat if you have any questions or something to contribute.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe you hate
let's
prophecy openings
yeah,
or you
yeah,
hate
right.
everything I just said. But
Hmm.
yeah, I thought it worked really well, but I was just giggling because I was like, man, that's a great setup. It's so much less work and it solves our problem that we, traditionally find with shows with heavy exposition. We hate it,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep, yep. I was just talking to Ashley today about how because in this podcast, that's why I jumped into it. This podcast with Denny Villeneuve that they asked about Star Wars and like what would he do with it if he whatever, and it's like he said I have no interest in Star Wars. He says that it's become so like formulaic in its own structure or whatever. It's just not interesting. And then he said way back in the day, him and his friend that like the first two blew their mind, and then he and his friend wanted to drive to find George Lucas and tell him how much they hated Return of the Jedi because of the Ewoks. They just made it like a
Mhm.
jokey kids movie or whatever and stuff. So
Mhm.
he's just like no interest in Star Wars. Anyways, that's why I started watching it. But it brought up like that a lot of things you're a fan of, people become fans of it when you're kids, and then you don't notice a
Mhm.
lot of those things as kids. And then so if you want to stay at a fan of them as an adult, you have to like ignore a lot of the flaws. You
Mm.
have to
Mhm.
ignore a lot of the things, a lot of the exposition or whatever. And
Yeah.
so new things I become a fan of as an adult. I'd rather not start out on that foot. I'm not
Oh,
okay
sure.
with that. I'm not okay starting out on the foot of like, oh yeah, well that exposition was really lazy and clunky, but I'll give the rest of it
Yeah.
a go. Like, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be that. I get it when it's
Yeah.
for kids, Even then I honestly hardly forgive them anymore. But yeah, no, I haven't had any of those qualms here. And it can be a tough thing because it is a lot. It's a complicated world and place and setup that we have to
Mhm.
deal with. So, um some of those complications we've got the emperor who's not he's having a rough go of things, trying to make a new
Mhm.
alliance here. And we really see they lean heavily into the idea, particularly with this emperor of played by Mark Strong,
Mhm.
that he can hardly make a decision by himself without
Mhm.
the whisper of a sister in his ear, a
Mhm.
trusted confidant that,
Mhm.
will always have the answer for him. So it's a
Mhm.
really interesting kind of way for them to start and keep showing us how much influence this newish, I'm not sure, sisterhood has already on
Mhm.
the Imperium.
Yeah, I thought that was a great way too. We got our whole opening setup of, the original founding mother superior dying and and kind of half naming a successor, but it was a little bit open to interpretation. We have Valia coming in and being like, I am chosen, we need to strengthen the sisterhood. She literally kills to get her way. And, we get this opening where it seems like, hey, maybe that was the right choice. Her way was the way. And the sacrifices she made along the way were worth it because here's the sisterhood having the ear of the emperor who can do nothing without them. So,
Right. Yeah,
and then yeah,
it's,
it's left kind of in our next episodes to see how that unravels because obviously we can't have something like this without complications. We can't have a
yeah,
story without, roadblocks.
yeah. I've seen some people say I haven't watched any other real reviews, but I've seen some people say that this show is boring, and, to me, like, right in the first episode, we have and here's a perfect shot of it. We have the
Oh,
voice
yeah.
used to command someone to kill themselves, and
Holy
I
guns.
didn't see it
Yeah.
coming,
Me neither.
it shows, like, the quick lengths to which or the deep lengths to which someone will go here to, and how much they believe in the goal here of their
Mhm.
founder. Like, is it how much do you think it's the belief in the goal, and how much is it like, I will do anything to redeem the name of Harkonnen,
Mm.
and this is kind of the path, and like, I don't know. Is there a seizing of an opportunity here? Like, I'm not going to be put in the shadows.
Yeah. I think it's a 50-50. Like, she definitely believed in, the Mother Superior's special project about, selective breeding and, we need to kind
Mhm,
of like cultivate rulers that need us. But I think also like it was like, well, believing in this is also my way, to carry that forward, but like seize it for myself too and like really build and expand upon this and make it known that it's like me who saw it into real fruition and made it happen. So I think there's a both and for sure.
mhm.
Um, like her being like, this is the path that I can take that's open
Yeah,
to me to redeem the Harkonnen name.
yeah. Um,
But yeah, no, I
okay.
I was shocked by that opening as well. I did not know The Voice was gonna be coming out so soon, and damn,
Yeah,
was it effective. Like, it just whoo, happened
yep,
so quick. So
yep.
yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about The Voice later yet too,
Mhm,
so, let's see other characters, like, so, yeah, we got Valia who, very determined,
mhm,
sees herself as the rightful successor and one
mhm,
to continue on leading the sisterhood here. We have her sister, Tula,
mhm,
more hesitant, in some of the methods or whatever. You can see her on the
mhm,
screen. We've got a variety of sisters and those in training to be sisters. We've
mhm,
got the emperor who we briefly talked about and the empress. Um,
and their
and
children,
then yep,
son and
children.
daughter.
So yeah, I mean, obviously that's a big one. The princess, um, whose sort of plot here is I'm going to marry a 9-year-old, but it's for convenience. It's for, strengthening alliances. And
Mhm,
I've got time to like learn the ways of the sisterhood before he sort of comes of age. And then I can kind of have the best of both worlds. Like, I'll be a formidable mind, um, and we'll have a stronger family, and I'll sort of like have my side piece and our
mhm.
alliance, and yay, win-win, right?
Yeah, yeah, she's looking to have the best of all worlds, like you said, she wants to train to be a sister so she can, do truth saying, but also, detect lies. Obviously a useful skill, so, I applaud. She's got her side piece, our sword master who's surprise and Atreides. The second that came up, I was like, okay, so, betrayal comes from here. Um and, yeah, then she's got the 9-year-old who, is a political convenience, but, she says something very telling. She's like, "Hey, I'm just, gonna spend some time. I love that he's a 9-year-old. I'm gonna shape him to my will and have him be like the husband I want." And she's, theoretically not wrong about
Right.
that. There is a sense of like, when you are a trusted adult, guiding a kid, they
Yeah,
look
you
up to you
groom
and
you.
tend to. Yeah, I know, it's so gross and weird, but and also in a way it's, like, very clear that she doesn't mean groom him, like, sexually, because of course she has,
Right.
the
Yeah,
sword master Atreides. She just, is going to, like,
yeah, I
formulate his
can mold into
personality
the
to her
type.
will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, mhm,
but yes, it's still creepy. It's still not like, a true partnership type of marriage,
right.
because in a partnership, you don't just, like, create your perfect spouse. But yeah,
Anyone
I
if you
think
think that's what happens,
yeah,
we're telling you that's
that's not
not.
marriage. Oh god. So yeah, so I also similarly think, Dune starts out for her on a high note, like for Valia, and then it's like these things happen and they both have to like navigate these huge complications to the lives, the visions, the futures they had planned for themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, talk a little bit about the princess, and you mentioned the Atreides. So that gets us
Yes.
into a whole. We really got into that in the second episode of
Mhm.
the like. We start figuring out more of the plans within the plans and how deep the sisterhood has already worked itself
Yes.
because got Kieran Atreides along with others plotting a rebellion against the emperor.
Mhm.
And then we see that there's already a sister. So the sisterhood is already shaping and trying to manage the Imperium, but
Mhm.
they also try to bolster rebellion at the proper time,
Mhm.
keep that in the Imperium in check.
I
And so
loved that.
really sort of like, you know, man, you're exposed. Like wherever you think you are, that
Mhm.
you're, with trusted
Mm.
confidence, the sisterhood is above.
I loved that. I did not see that coming, that double agency right there. I was shocked as heck when, yeah, that sister stepped out and started talking to Valia, and I was like, "Whoa!" So yeah, I mean, it makes total sense though, for managing the emperor and to like see how they managed him into this corner where he's so reliant on the advice of his sister. It's like, yeah, like you wanted him to be emperor because you're seeing, this whole bloodline through because they're now dependent on you. So, you get a little uppity, you help him put it down. Sometimes like he gets too uppity, so you got to keep him in check. So, he's reliant on allies that you hand pick for him. It's, it's a checks and balances system that the sisterhood is, puppeteering here. And yeah, I think it's really smart, but again, something I wasn't seeing coming. Whereas
Yeah,
I totally saw coming that Atreides was going to be part of the rebellion. I was like, "Well, yeah, he's gonna feel bad because he likes the princess."
right,
Um, or, at least is liking her enough to sleep with her and have some feeling of like, when we rebel, I don't probably wanna kill her, you
right.
know?
Well,
So
that's a low bar now. So yeah, we'll have to
I mean, it
decide.
is, but you know what I mean? Like, they
Mhm.
definitely were, like, inciting each other to, like, "Oh, we gotta, like, rebel. These houses leave scraps for us. We really gotta show them." And so it's like,
Yeah,
time comes, he probably, even if they're egging him on, would find some way to save her.
yeah.
So
I I'd be interested. I don't know if the show will address it. We only have 6 episodes, but I'd be interested to know more of the minutia of, like, whose side in this conflict should I be on? The Imperium
mhm.
or the rebellion? I have a feeling we're not gonna get that because I don't think the show's really about that, but I would be interested to know.
Sure.
The line of, like, they're leaving scraps from us. Well, like, what specifically are they doing
Mhm,
that's, like, you on the outs or you
mhm.
impoverished or without access to spice or, like, what is this exactly other than we're taking your word for you're being, mistreated in this situation and therefore it's deserving of rebellion? Like, do you think we'll
Yeah.
have that?
I mean, it's possible. We've definitely gotten some, you know, how do I put it? Like foundation building for being on the side of the rebellion because Mark Strong is not a great emperor.
Right.
He's not great at making decisions. He's pretty weak. He's waffling,
Hmm.
in the times that he does show strength or like conviction of his decisions, it's not always in the best circumstances.
Yep.
Um so he's literally hiding, spoiler alert, he's hiding a murderer
Hmm.
and is kind of dubiously thinking like maybe I should kind of keep using him to kill other people I don't like. And then he tells, the father of a 9-year-old kid who just got burned alive, clearly excruciatingly. He's like, yeah, I've got this guy and I kind of want you to just get over it. Yeah, be cool now, thanks." And it's like, really? That's like your big pitch to this guy who's understandably furious that his son was burned alive from the inside out is like, "Yeah, it's really tragic, but I'd like you to get over it. Thank you." Like, that's no, way to lead and no way to, cement alliances or, you know, a attain or retain loyalty from
Yeah.
people who serve you. So, you know, we've gotten some kind of weak leadership and morally questionable decisions from both Mark Strong and the Empress, who also is kind of like, "Hey, this new guy who showed up with powers seems pretty cool. Probably should use
Yeah.
him." Their son is, like the very typical um playboy who's overlooked because he parties too hard, has too much sex, doesn't seem serious about learning the ways of the Imperium and being emperor. So he doesn't seem like
Well,
a
I don't know if
great
that's fair.
character. I mean, I
It
think his characterization is very typical. I don't think that there's anything to suggest. Sorry. I think that there's things to suggest he could break free from that, but on the surface, this is his character and this is how people think of him. Like he
Sure.
very pointedly says like my dad thinks of me like this, my mom thinks of me like
Yeah.
this. So I don't think that there isn't anything more to him. I just think, you know, on the surface, they're not giving us a lot of reasons to root for the emperor and his family.
Yeah.
Now, it's kind of on the people of the rebellion to prove, yes, like our cause is just and what we are doing is going to be right still. But I think there's some seeds for, kind of rooting maybe for the upheaval.
Right. Yeah. About the prince here a little bit.
Sure.
Um, so in the slide we just saw a second ago was it was another example of like how he's dismissed constantly. He seems like would be interested in being involved, but his parents kind of want nothing to do with him being involved because they told him like, "Oh, go wait wherever." It's like,
Mhm.
no, he's well, he's the prince. He could be here for these sort of decisions
Right.
and this thing, and to at least witness that. And instead, he's like sent away, and you
No,
could see
yeah, it's sorry.
disapproval on his face for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to know if his partying is the symptom or the cause. Like, do they dismiss him because he parties a lot, and so they're just sort of like, well, he wouldn't be interested in ruling, or is he partying a lot because they've already dismissed him and he feels like I have nothing to do. I feel so useless. I want to make myself feel better. So is it like,
Yeah.
did he already, kind of do these things, and so they were like, oh, you're not taking this seriously, or did they just like dismiss him kind of out of hand, and now he does these things to cope?
Yeah. So they mentioned it momentarily in the show at some point, but in this second episode, I guess the princess tells Kieran Trades about it a little bit. I think
Mm,
that are kidnapping and
yeah.
elaborate a little bit more on that in the podcast uh, for the episode, the official podcast that I've
Oh,
been to.
okay. I have not
And
heard that.
Yeah, they did it with a penguin, the official podcast, and I was kinda worried about what they would say about penguins, so I only listened to a couple of them, and then this one I've just been listening to so far, it's been good,
Mhm,
and, they mentioned that, like, her you know, she was gonna be kidnapped and, held at ransom or whatever, and her brother tried to stop the kidnappers, but was
mhm,
unable to, so he said, "Well, take me with then."
mhm,
So his loyalty to his sister and his love was enough that he was like, "Just take me too, that I don't leave
mhm,
her alone, in this." And it was some length of time that they were actually gone,
mhm,
and they came back, they really I guess, splintered the family dynamic. It was completely different. So I guess it seems like there's probably some disappointment on the side of the kids and how it was handled and how they were left or
mhm,
whatever, and, so it's a really sort of disjointed thing between the kids and the parents, and so you get
mhm,
these 2 parents who are like, things are running out of control. The emperor can't make a decision without the sister. He takes on and off counsel from his wife pretty quickly. Sometimes she seems in charge more than him.
mhm,
And then you got kids that aren't that felt no mishandled or abandoned or whatever, and so you know the princess forms a strong bond with the sister that then burns from an inside out.
mhm,
Sees her more of a mother figure than her actual mother. So it's a weird
mhm,
family dynamic, and, yeah, I can just see that, there's there's more to the care we maybe the parents should be focusing more on their kids and trying to heal that and raise them properly to, take over as opposed to what seems like dismissal.
mhm. Yeah,
Am
it
I
seems it
on your
seems
screen? I look frozen.
you you are, and you also have a thumbs up bubble.
Oh, yeah, that's, oh, it's still there, yeah, it's just totally frozen.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
This is a switch, you having the technical difficulties and not me. Um, so hopefully we can figure that out shortly.
I mean,
Um,
if nothing else, I'm just there.
at least your face is there.
Yeah,
And I'll just pretend you look like that to whatever I say.
perfect.
Yeah, so, that's interesting that you brought that up because I did think about, like, what that kidnapping must have put the kids and the parents through, but it still seems odd to me that, like, I don't know, in one sense, like, the kidnapping could also explain the princess partying because clearly, the princess was saying, like, he doesn't talk about that time much, but it must have affected him deeply in some way. Whether it was, there's kind of like a vague allusion to torture, other, potential traumas or, hardships that he had to endure that maybe, left a deeper lasting impression on him. Plus, like the idea of, I failed to save my sister, um, coupled with the reinforcement of his parents probably being disappointed that he didn't save his sister. But it does still seem weird to me that, having known that they went through that, they still dismiss him so readily. Um, so that to me is a bit of a gap in my mind that there's like he went through this thing, he couldn't save his sister, but he did the next best thing. But, we're just gonna kind of be disappointed and dismissive of anything he does.
Yep,
It's a little hard to reckon with.
yep. Um, okay, so we're gonna take, like, just a briefest momentary pause. Let's try
Sure.
to have my camera fixed here, and when we get back, we're gonna talk about sex. So how about that?
Spicy.
Alright, alright, we're back. I am now longer frozen, and we're gonna talk about sex. So, I wish staying on the prince here, I was shocked to have, like, an actual sex scene here, and tell me what you thought of this, because we sort of had, like we just talked about, like, maybe prince not being taken seriously enough, but then
Mhm.
sort of pumped for information. Like, use a
So I put this
bond.
in my dude, I put this in my notes. It was a mutual pumping. They were clearly both there to like
Yes.
find stuff out from each other. I think, gosh, I can't remember the other family right now, but their daughter did a little bit better than the prince did.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, they were clearly both like, where are we? Where are our families at in this alliance? Like, what's going on? Like, is there somebody in custody for the murder of this 9-year-old little boy? Like, what's up with this? Um, but yeah, the prince was definitely, I think in this scene definitely was like, and the following definitely was leaning heavily into the portrayal of him as a shallow playboy because he clearly
Mhm.
cared about his sexual reputation. So, and he clearly cared about, getting a bump of spice, doing drugs. And then, the next day in the throne room when everybody was like confronting with the information that they had all learned from this, sexy time,
Yeah.
immediately he was like dismissed. It was like, "Oh, you idiot. You told them stuff. Like you're so useless."
Yeah.
So it was
Right.
all very like stereotypical.
Mhm. Yep. I was shocked by the scene, because it seems so, like, there's a sort of stereotype now that like the intimacy we get in movies is touching foreheads. It's like we can't
Oh
even
yeah.
really kiss. We just gotta boop our foreheads together or whatever.
Yeah. I
So,
mean, HBO's never been super shy about that, you know.
yeah, no, I mean, no, but look at the now 2 seasons of House of the Dragon. Like, clearly deviated from the high sexual content of Game of Thrones.
I mean, yes
You had
and
Rosie running
no.
around topless every couple episodes. You had Theon Greyjoy feeling up his sister. I mean, like,
Yeah.
this show made news because it was like, "Oh, how,"
True.
"are they going too far? Are they doing it for shock value?" All that sort of
Yeah.
thing. To a big
Yeah.
round to House of the Dragon. Yes, there's incest, but it's not, nothing's graphic.
Sure.
There is intimate things, but there's no graphic intimate things.
Sure.
Except for there is a dong in the brothel scene or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
With the
I
penis
mean,
popping.
I was gonna say early House of the Dragon felt a little more, but I mean, they were a little more, free to show sexual content because we were still learning about the characters and we weren't in the middle of a war where, you know, if you don't kind of introduce it in the right way, it can seem very out of place for people to be
Yeah.
having sex while you're, gearing up for a large battle. Um, but I was actually just thinking about the penguin and they weren't shy. There were few, you know, sex scenes, just with Sophia mostly, but they weren't, you know, like, I don't know, delicate little emotional things, it was just like
Yeah.
very raw. So
Yeah, I
yes.
mean,
So I think
the
I think in total they've probably pulled back in number. Um but yeah, I think HBO's not afraid to just like kind of have it all bared when they feel the need.
sure. Yeah, well, it surprised me. It was a happy surprise. I think they did a good
Mhm.
job making things make sense, like,
Yeah.
it was a scene that was valuable to the show,
Yeah.
and played a part. So, the family name there, I think, is, Rachis.
Richese. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, Rachise, yes.
Pruitt Richese
Sorry.
was the little boy. Yep. Yep.
Yep. So,
So yeah, so it's, I mean, staying on the sex scenes, we also got one from the princess, more tame, obviously. She
yeah.
she gets down and dirty with her sword master Atreides in the nightclub. And
Understood.
all I could think was, that's great for you. I know this is like your ideal. You have like the both and you have your,
Yep.
9-year old that you're gonna mold into the perfect husband, and you have your side piece, but boy, you better be careful because if
Mhm.
you get pregnant, you can't really say, "Hey, it's my 9-year-old spouse's,"
I mean,
like,
you can maybe, but you'd be called a creep.
I mean, you totally can't. That kid, that clearly, even, I mean, there's under no circumstance. This kid is so awkward. He could
Mhm.
barely stand to like talk to her or call her Nez.
Right.
There's no way that he's like, having
Yeah.
sex with his future spouse. So that's all I could think of in the nightclub. I was like, that's great. And also, please, for the love of God, kids, use protection because you're not passing this off as a 9-year-old's.
Yeah, and I don't know what that's like in the Dune world, obviously the whole idea of the Bene Gesserit later is part of the training is, like, being able to choose the, like,
Mhm.
gender of the child
Right,
and,
right,
like, all this sort of, like, really complicated control over the body and
right.
anatomy, and, so I can see some sort of thing like that, that is just, like, allows it or doesn't, but she's
Mhm.
obviously not had any of that sort of
Right,
training
exactly.
or whatever. So,
Exactly.
okay, we should talk about Desmond Hart, Travis
Yes.
Fimmell's character, because he comes out of nowhere. He survives an attack. He's a part of the like army on Arrakis, and he's telling the Emperor that this attack was not just some random thing or the enemies. It's more the enemies within, and he's pointing
Mhm.
fingers at like the Sisterhood.
Mhm.
So we have immediately a very tense sort of like, you know, who is this guy? What's he think? He doesn't, we see the sister talking like he thinks he's telling as far as he knows, he's telling the truth sort
Mhm.
of line that they use.
Yep.
Yeah. What do we think of Desmond?
Ooh, he is the character I honestly have the most mixed feelings about.
I
So,
kind of saw your comments. It's because of Raised by Wolves, isn't it?
I
It's
mean, part
because
of
of
it.
that.
There is a part of it when he comes, very hard early on talking about like religion. I was like, "Oh no, he's going to be like another, like
Zealot.
hardcore zealot," and it's like a very similar character. Like I really want him to be different. Um Obviously, no worries that he can't do this well because he's already done this well. But I don't want HBO to be like, "Hey, just like slide on in here, kind of do the same thing."
Right.
Um so yeah, so I really did want him to be different, and he is and he isn't. Um he very clearly continues this sort of zealot like projection of his character and his, belief in whatever he saw, whatever the sandworm showed him, the gifts he has now been bestowed. So on the one hand, I really like the certainty in his belief because it does, like you said, make for really great setup to conversations with Mother Superior. And he's a really great foil for her. On the other hand, he just comes in real hot, like, I know that, I've been now put here to do this thing. I'm going to serve the emperor. He comes in and burns a 9-year-old boy alive, then tells the emperor like I did it for you, and the emperor and the empress are just like, "I don't know. You come in, I don't know you from anything, but you just use your powers for us and it seems cool." You know. So
But this
it
shows how
is,
desperate they are.
I know, but it is really still hard for me to get that stretch. There's moments like when they learn that he is responsible for the murder of Kasha, and for them to like flip on her, especially the emperor to flip on her death so quickly feels a little off.
Mm.
Um so it does feel like they both just kind of like put their trust in him really really fast, and as a viewer, I'm not quite convinced that, this would be logical for them to do. Um you know or for them to feel like he is a weapon that could be used on a mass scale to tame all the houses. Obviously Rachese's right there saying like, "You need my ships for Arrakis." But there's clearly a idea that all the other houses are vying for power, the emperor's pretty weak, you know, is this one character, this one guy with this one power gonna be able to bring all of them to heel? I don't know. So, yeah. So his
Well,
character, his motivations, like, are a little dicey for me in a sense of, like, who is he? Did he always kind of have a grudge against the sisterhood before the sandworm, and now the sandworm, maybe showed him a way to get back at them? Is this a totally new thing that he has to get back at the sisterhood and work for the emperor? Like, who is he and where is this all kind of born out of?
yeah, well, and that's why I said earlier, I think that, like, I like the motivations we have of characters for the ones we're allowed to see yet.
Mhm.
Like, he is largely an enigma yet, and, we'll
Mhm.
see how much more we get of that. I think that some of the reactions of the Emperor and the Empress showcases who they are. It's so right. They're quick to turn on their advisor who's been killed now.
Mhm.
That says something about them. I mean, that says
Yeah.
like that like their hold on power is weak and they care deeply to hold it. Like things are gonna
Mhm.
turn bad for them if they don't manage to get this underhand. And are they thinking far enough ahead in the terms of like we can use him to tame the houses, or is it like we can manage this situation now,
Mhm.
and get that under control, and
Mhm.
and then what will come.
Mhm.
Um, so it's I think that It's I like the refreshing, interesting nature of how Desmond it surprised me, for a while, like, how open he is about his
Mm. Yeah.
ability and his kind of intent here and
Purpose,
stuff. He
yeah.
just yeah, he just sorta says it, and, that he comes out and does that is pretty shocking, and I think makes him a little bit different, and really does
Mhm.
make him feel like because he comes across as a much more pure character than this sort of sinister nature of his character in Raised by Wolves. Like, obviously,
Mm.
he had his transformation where he, like, became a believer then, but he was
Right.
still, like, sort of you saw the self-service nature of a lot of what he
Right.
did and everything. And this really feels like, "No, I have a higher purpose now, and
Mhm.
I'm open, whatever. I'm
Mhm.
telling you what I want. I'm here to serve the Imperium." Now, the question or the thing to me that the emperor and the empress aren't asking themselves is like, well, are we always what's best for the Imperium?
Right.
Like his
"You serve
loyalty,
me
he's
or do you
saying
serve
is
the Imperium?"
yeah, he's saying it's to the Imperium, and they're taking that as them,
Right.
but it's only so far as that's is the case.
Mhm.
Um, And so yeah, I don't know. I also think that maybe we'll get a little more because the emperor seemed really really he survived the sandworm. I can't think of what they call him right now. The
Oh,
word in
yeah.
Iraq
It's
is
like it begins with a
shalud.
Shahid something, yeah.
Yeah, but she seemed impressed and by that. And so like, what is her sort of knowledge of this or reverence
Right.
for the kind of
Right.
mystical nature of the sandworm and
Right.
all that sort of thing, and how much is that impacting her decisions here? So there, Alan put in here Shai Halud. Perfect. Thank you.
Shai Hulud. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. It's like Dune. The first part is very relatively grounded.
Mhm.
It's like, yes, it's like 20,000 years in the future or whatever, but it is kind of believable in that. And a lot of things,
Mhm.
they kind of keep it that way. You wouldn't necessarily think it's that far in the future other than space travel and stuff. Um, but as you look into more of the Dune universe, you move into even part two of Dune, but then to this as well. Like there's more mysticism
Mhm.
that is involved and it's gonna be interesting to square that, and we'll learn about it and how much we're explained and how much is left in mystery. Because that's a fatal mistake of Star Wars. Is like the Force was a mystical thing, and then they tried to explain it. Oh well, it's in
Mhm.
your cells. We can see it. We can do a count in your midichlorians, and and then it's later in Star Wars, even in the really
Yep.
garbage stuff. If you try hard enough, you can have the Force too.
Yep.
So, yeah. So we'll see what they tell us and what they don't. But I'm very
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah, I mean, again, not that I'm not interested or, looking to see where this can go or thinking like he's not a great foil to the Mother Superior because he is. I
Hmm.
just am I'm a little on shaky ground right now because he feels the least formed and I know the least. So his motivations don't seem logical to me without the backstory. And I have
Yeah,
none. And
yeah,
also like some of the characters' motivations or like their just sort of like readiness to accept him, even knowing like the emperor isn't like that strong, still
yeah,
felt a little fast. So I was like, I really need something to like tie these story elements together here. So hopefully, you know, episode 3 is coming out, and we'll cover 3 and 4 in our next podcast. We'll have something to say there.
yeah.
Um, but I do also quickly want to talk about like the other, side of mysticism in this Dune
Yes.
show, the sisterhood. I want to talk about the agony that Lila goes through
Mhm.
because that to me was a cool sequence. And it was like hellish and scary and awesome.
Yeah. Oops. Now I thumbs down. Oh my god. Okay, so that's what's happening. I put thumbs up and I do some sort of,
Yes, you're like
Apple
reacting to
does the
yourself.
Apple does the thumbs up, or if I did a heart or whatever, that kinda thing, and then it freezes. That's what it is.
Mhm.
So I've
Yes.
learned it now. I'm gonna keep my hands down. Let's do let's do that pause thing one
Yeah.
more time, and then we'll talk about Sister Lila and the agony.
Yes.
All right, we're back. Mystery solved.
Mhm.
Won't be I can probably turn that off somewhere. We can stop that from happening. Um, but theoretically, I'll have my PC back head together soon, and then that won't have that option.
Sure.
So, okay. So, Sister Lila, the
Mhm.
egg, yeah. So we have the reveal that Sister Lila is the granddaughter
Mhm.
of the founder of the sisterhood. And, they're worried about this prophecy that the founder brought upon them and said, "Hey, this is gonna happen," and they think they're in the midst of that, this
Mhm.
burning of people, and what do we do? And so so, something I didn't know about Dune. That's cool. There's a reason the sisterhood is just women. Like, one of the main reasons is that in this Dune world, in your genes, your you have a lot of information stored in your
Mhm.
genes, and the historical element is passed down, like a memory is passed down through the maternal side of your
Mhm.
genetics. And so women that are in the sisterhood and go through the agony and survive that can access their ancestors
Mhm.
through their maternal side. And so the hope is here that Sister Lila can talk to essentially her grandmother
Mhm.
and find out what advice, what path they should take. What more
Yes.
did you see in this prophecy? How can we,
Yeah.
s-
More
yeah,
specifics.
yeah. Mm. Yeah, that's the sort
Yeah.
of the setup. And I agree. It was a very cool horror like situation.
God, it was creepy and I loved it. Yeah, I mean, I felt like we as an audience got a lot of clues that this wasn't going to go well. Lila's been struggling in her training. She's a favorite of Tula, who is like the weaker Harkonnen. So I just felt like we kind of got a lot of like hints that this was going to go semi well and then not well at all, which basically is what happened. You know,
Yeah.
she started off strong, like she got through the initial part of the agony, which is, injecting yourself with poison, breaking it down on a cellular level so that you can like exert total control of yourself, and then like unlocking, these like genetic and, base level elements of your own DNA to dive deep into your ancestry. So it all started off well. Lila survived, she got through it. We saw her wake up and be surrounded by, all of these women, presumably of the Bene Gesserit and also her line.
Yeah.
Um, and we got Mother Raquella. She started, speaking, giving us a little bit more detail about, what was going on. Still definitely in riddles, but it was like something to go on, some kind of clue
Yeah.
to parse out like this double birth. Um so yeah, there was things happening, it seemed good, and then Dorothea showed up. I
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting it." You know, she's all like, "You took my life, I'm going to take your hope." And it just,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it was so creepy, like, the piling on of bodies, like, Lila shutting
Mhm.
down, basically, like, burying her consciousness in theirs. Oh, it was creepy. I
Yeah, I
loved it.
guess I should say great-grandmother, because I was confused at first watching this, like, "Wait a
Yes.
minute." I was like, "Isn't, Dorothea her mom?" And then but like, well, the time on that would be a little wrong or whatever, so that's how we see it. Like, oh, for crying out loud.
No, John, no.
My thumb was not even we're gonna keep going here. This is the
Okay.
face I have.
I
Um,
do see your thumb, but, oh god, it's pretty
that's
weak
really
sauce.
minimal. That's really like, I where is the okay, system settings, how do I do this, let's see, FaceTime, I don't know where any of these things are anymore in this. So, uh, live cap no, not live caption, that's good.
Yeah, don't do
Pointer,
that.
um, oh my gosh. Pointer speed use switch. I'm not gonna keep messing with this right
It's
now. It's
okay.
just
We don't need a live
I'm
stream tutorial. It's
not
okay.
who wants to do that anyways? Okay? Look, I am a fan of Apple things, but really, I need a thumbs up and a bubble needs to come out? What are we in right now? What is
I
this?
know.
Alright.
I get this same, like, fear on Zoom anytime I move my hands because Zoom now likes to throw up reactions like,
It does
I'm
that
giving a
too.
thumbs
Okay.
up when I'm, like, yeah, it's very
Yeah.
weird. So it's like, "Oh god,"
Okay.
or, like, I
See?
put my hand to my chest and it thinks I'm, like, raising my hand for a question. I'm like, "No, no."
Mm.
But at
Okay,
least
so
it gives you, like, 15 seconds to hold it in position before it
mm.
does it. Whereas I feel like this could obviously use the same because sometimes you don't mean to make these gestures.
Let me just tell everybody out there, all you tech companies, just because Apple does something doesn't mean you have to do it, okay? Means you can do it and it will be, like, accepted, it's gonna
Mhm.
be more likely to be, become a standard or something, but you don't have to do it, okay? If it's stupid, just
Don't
let
do
it
it.
be, alright? Yeah, don't do it. Okay, well, I can do whatever I want now. I can undress, I can, who knows? I can just yeah, I'm over
Man, yeah.
here
I was like, I can't even
just
see you anymore, so you really can do whatever. Go for
yeah.
it, John.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, so the agony here, yeah,
Yes.
with great grandmother, it was really cool. We learned then obviously is that uh Lila's mother is alive.
Mhm.
So whatever has been told to her, like die of
Yeah.
childbirth kind of thing is not true. Um
Yeah.
that's our big reveal.
Yeah, I had suspected for, like, a hot second that Tula was her mom, but it's clear that that's not it. Because Tula's
Right.
also selling this lie of, like, your mom died in childbirth, so, it'd
Yeah.
be weird for her to, like, peddle her own lie.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, but I think I think that reveals signals to us that Lila will somehow come back.
Okay. Sure. Yeah,
You
I
know, I
thought
mean,
maybe, oh, sh sure, she's dead, but honestly, in watching the,
well, the
episode
preview is like,
podcast.
yeah, the
Okay.
preview says, like, very few people come back from, whatever state she's in.
Mm,
So I think she's comatose, like I said, with
right.
her consciousness buried by,
Yeah.
like, the essence of all these other women, and somehow she's gonna break free even for just, a little bit. So, something's gonna happen where she can communicate, because I think that that's too big of a breadcrumb to drop without following up on it.
Okay. I think it'd be interesting for the show to let us understand the stakes if she was just dead. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think she is at this point. I do think you're right. There'll be something else that will come from it. It would be interesting if other sort of voices come through her, at some point, and
Mhm.
they figure out some more things, or the onlooking sisters that shouldn't know certain
Yeah.
things, start to learn other things, and what does that do to the sisterhood? Because as Tula had said, like, there's secrets we've worked very hard to keep,
Mhm.
and so are other secrets exposed in this way?
Right, well, I mean, obviously, Dorothea is right there to be like, "Hey, let me show you how Valia killed me."
Mhm. Right.
So, yeah, there's a very clear, like, yeah, we have stuff that we'd like buried, and here it is that you're discovering right away.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Anything
Yeah.
else we've, really, haven't addressed? There's a lot here. I think that, to me, the the important thing of this show is, it's supposed to be delving into more of the whole idea of plans within plans things. You'll
Mhm.
hear that line in Dune Part 2 and whatever, and I think that they're doing a pretty good job. I like some of these interactions. I like the, like, head-to-heads with,
Mhm.
our Desmond and Valia. Those are
Mhm.
great moments, and, I don't know. It has my interest. I'm very curious as how this all unfolds.
Yeah, I think one of the only things, just to piggyback off of that we haven't addressed is, these Desmond and Valia conversations. We culminate in the second episode with understanding that now the voice doesn't work on him,
Yes.
because that was a big moment for her. She's definitely been fearless in her approach to him, like, my tricks, my stuff, my whatever
Yes.
extra works, and I can still sense things, and now it's like kind of all bets are off. Like, so if the voice doesn't work on him, does truth saying, does lie detecting, does any of it apply when you're having a conversation with him? Or are you
I was
basically just on equal footing?
one, I thought that scene was
Oh,
very well
so good.
performed. I
So good, yeah.
loved how they both reacted to that. I
Mhm.
was also totally fooled because I saw a snippet of this moment in the trailer that she tells him to take out the knife, and he does. I'm like, "Oh, well, I know that's coming now,"
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then he totally does that, and I assume that he's under that the
Mm.
voice is working on him. I totally fell for that. I did not see him playing.
That's
So,
funny that like, from the second he took it out, I was like, "No, I don't think so. I don't think
really?
so."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
See, I was like, "How is he gonna get out of this?"
yeah, no, I felt like he's too much of a wild card for anything to work. So I just sort of, like, from the
Mhm.
get-go didn't feel like the voice would work either.
Okay. Yeah.
But nothing
I
nothing about this scene, I did have a little seed of doubt start to creep in when he brought it to his neck. I was like, maybe he
Mhm.
is struggling, I still don't
Yeah.
know that it's gonna happen, but maybe he's struggling with it. And then, he puts it down. I was like, "Yeah, all right. I thought it wasn't
Yeah.
gonna work."
The the tell obviously would be that we saw her in the previous episode not hesitate to kill someone that she knew
Yeah.
intimately, And then in this is like, well, she's going to obviously kill him, of course, right away.
Right.
This is this new threat, like a big, he's dead if she can do this. Like, there's no
Right.
reason she is possibly going to let him go.
Right. Yeah.
Um, I'm really also interested because I've heard, I don't know this, I think it's true, that the Desmond character is not in the book upon which this
Hmm.
is
Okay.
based. So I'm very curious as like because it seems so central and pivotal to what we're watching right now as to
Mhm.
what occurs if he's not present. If there's like a
Yeah.
larger force or if multiple people consolidate into one or something.
Sure.
I'm very interested. Like I don't want to look any of that up now, but like as the when this wraps up, I'm interested in like looking that up or reading the book or something to find out um what that's all about. So
Yeah. That would be interesting to know, like you said, if he's a composite of several characters or if this is entirely something different or new.
because maybe it's
Um,
much more like mystical in the book in the sense that there's no
yeah.
like the prophecy is coming true and they have no person to like blame or look at.
Sure,
And so
sure.
it's
It's just events
like
rather than a person.
yeah. So
Yeah,
why
yeah.
is this happening? How is and so like and then to make it like a more head-to-head thing, more
Mhm.
tangible for an audience now, they
Yeah.
embody it.
I was gonna say, especially in this like condensed form, it's a lot easier to focus, have your focal point be a person than just
The
circumstance.
universe or
Yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah.
forces of nature.
Um, the other thing I was thinking is I would, when you were saying like, oh, the mother superior doesn't hesitate to kill somebody when she needs to, and now here, like, what would be the point of her hesitating? It would be interesting to know. One big question I had is like the voice itself. It comes out so fast, so early, and how much is known about it at this point? Like where, throughout the Imperium, does the Emperor know she has the voice, like, that other people have the
Right.
voice? Like, is this a known thing at this point, or is this still sort of like a secret of the sisterhood? Because that might be a reason to be judicious about, when she
Yeah.
learns right away where everybody's watching her that he kills Kasha Jinjo and doesn't just be like, "Take out your knife and kill yourself." Maybe they don't all know that the sisterhood could do this, and maybe that would, make everybody skittish
Yeah.
about having a
That's
sister in their houses.
that's a really good point. That's absolutely a very good point because I do think that right now they're selling themselves as like we are truth sayers.
Yep.
Like we can be in your court and tell you if someone is being honest or not. Like that's
Right.
really what we're here for. And
Right.
with that, we can provide counsel and take it or leave it, you know?
Mhm.
And they're
Yeah,
not saying
we're
like,
benign helpers, that's it.
yeah,
We're so
right.
harmless, but, like, so valuable.
They're not saying like giving on to like, hey, we have our own language that we talk amongst each other to
Mhm.
communicate. And we
Yes.
try to keep that on the down low so we can,
Right.
like
So
how
clutch.
right. Yeah. Um, and then I think you're probably right that this is probably not a known thing because to my
Mhm.
understanding, Valley is the one that learned how to harness the voice.
Right.
She's the creator of that or whatever. And so yeah, it would make perfect sense for them to be like to not telling. Look, who wouldn't want someone in their council that could just order them? I mean, obviously, we get that later. We see 10,000 years later in
Right.
Dune that that still does exist, but it shows that whatever occurs, they show a value, um, that's
Mhm.
deemed as irreplaceable or something, or some sort of foresight that,
Right.
maybe they like, yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay,
Whew.
well, am I gonna wrap up the show frozen? I mean, I didn't wanna, like, stop the conversation again, so quickly, My stupid freaking thumbs up thing. Um, Alan, will you do like one more thing? We'll just like blip off and blip back on. And yeah, I'm back. We're back. Perfect.
Hey, it's you.
Okay, I'm gonna just keep my hands down. I'm just not gonna. Is there something I
Freaking
can do without my
sit
hands?
on 'em, John.
Yeah, right. I mean, in that small frame, often you can't tell, but I do like to talk with my hands. It does, like some level of expression through the
I
hands. But
I would find it hard as well. It's, my German
mhm,
family. We talk big and we talk a lot with our hands. Why don't I
mhm,
just,
mhm.
like, taunt you with my hand
Yeah,
motion?
you're gonna yeah, you make up for me, get the Italian hand gestures in there while you're at it. Yeah, mhm, perfect. Okay. Well, that's been Dune Prophecy episodes 1
Mhm.
and 2 and our thoughts. Please make sure you let us know your thoughts, leave I just raised my hands. They're off camera, but thankfully, like I was just like, "Oh my god."
John?
Yeah, I know.
I told
Incredible.
you
I
to
can't
sit
believe
on
this
those.
happened last week or whatever. That's
Yeah.
that's crazy. So, yeah, we're on a lot of the big streaming platforms. We're live on YouTube now and X and Twitch and Kick. So any of those places you want to follow us in, be appreciated. That's Podcast on the Rocks. You can also find us on Podcast on the Rocks on podcast directories, so Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Video version is available on Spotify, and you can also support us on Spotify if you want as well.
Mhm.
We'll pay for Restream that lets us stream to all the places all at once. So yeah. Um, Killing the Flower wrote our main theme song, so you can check them out on music streaming services as well. I don't know if they posted anything on social media in a while, but they're Killing the Flower. They're available on Apple Music and Spotify as well, YouTube Music and that sort of thing. And yeah, we'll be back. It's holiday time now and stuff. Been meaning to get an anime episode done. We got
Mhm.
Terminator to talk about soon, whenever that
Mhm.
works out. I need to finish it yet, but I'm like waiting for people to be like,
Same.
"We can do it," and then I'll finish because it's not
I
long.
know, same.
The episode. And
We need to
then
get
if
back
that
to
doesn't work
Don to
out,
Don at some point.
yeah, I was saying I'm behind on that, but I can sit down for a night or whatever and catch up,
Mhm.
and I think that will be a
Yeah.
way to watch it. And so this next week might be a Don to Don, something like that, on our Ohio Anime Show, and then we'll be back probably with Dune episodes 3 and 4. So
Mhm. Yeah, we
wait,
gotta get Arcane in there somewhere
um,
too.
wait, what? What is it? What
Oh,
one?
new Mononoke
Oh,
movie
Arcane?
too.
Arcane, you said?
Yep. Yeah, we need to get back to
I have not
Arcane at some point.
I have not started Arcane at all, but we definitely should do that because we missed out on doing season 1.
Yes. Which
Oh,
which which is funnily enough something that I was, like, super into and you were kind of
yes.
late to.
Yes, I was very late,
Yeah. Yep.
so
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
haven't started actually season 2, but I've been rewatching season 1,
Okay,
because I just decided that, like, the recaps that were out there weren't gonna do it because 'cause it's been a little bit too long.
okay,
So, I decided to rewatch season 1, so I'm about, I think, a little more than halfway through that.
okay. Well, I mean, if we want to end up doing, like, you know 2 episodes of Dune, and then a couple episodes of Arcane, and then 2 episodes of Dune, or, if we wanna do that sort of thing, we can, otherwise, we need to wait till Dune's done.
Mhm.
I'm also, uh, highly anticipating Secret Level. It's coming out in, like,
Oh.
a week or something on Netflix, and it's basically like Love, Death, and Robots. It's an anthology type
Hmm.
series of
Okay.
video games. So, there are, like, movie shorts of
Hmm.
all the video games. I think there is, like, God of War,
Yeah.
there's Mega Man, there's, Concord, hilariously enough. There's a whole
Ooh,
bunch. Keanu Reeves is in
15.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks awesome. I mean, it's gonna be a grab bag, some will be great, probably, and some not so much,
Sure.
but they look very well done. I'm super
Mhm.
excited. So, maybe that's a thing that we just do a podcast live on, like
Yeah.
we just sit and just talk about that specifically because it won't be long and you know,
Mhm.
it would be hard to sit and do a full podcast on the whole thing because 'cause they're all different.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's in one, that's fun.
Oh, really? Which one?
Yeah. I don't know. They only have 1 episode announced, and they don't give any details, so it's very hard to
Well,
tell.
there's a whole bunch of video games that are set for, should have pulled up the list, but yeah, it's a whole bunch of
Sure.
ones too, so it's gonna be interesting.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
great. And Alan says new Mononoke movie. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about with that. That seems like a mistake. Studio Ghibli did a new Princess Mononoke movie. Okay,
Oh,
was
oh, oh.
okay, he says no.
Mononoke the movie, Phantom in the Rain.
Um,
Oh my. Based off of, spin off of. This is
based
interesting.
on the Mononoke anime television series, which in turn is a spin-off of interesting. Okay, the movie.
Okay.
Okay. Um, my attention has been grabbed. Um, came out technically in July. I suppose that was in Japan. Is this available on Crunchyroll? Because I would definitely. Oh, September. Seeing Netflix acquired global streaming rights November 28th. Okay, so it is available as of 2 days ago on Netflix.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. All right.
I might go at least give that a look.
Yeah. All right. Well, all kinds of things to talk about, cover to watch, that sort of thing. So,
Mhm.
make sure you like and follow and all those sorts of things. Anyways, Andrea, thanks for making this happen. Thanks for putting my technical weird things and we figured it out, what it is.
I was gonna
So,
say you've put up with enough of mine, so happy to return the favor.
yeah, yeah, you bet.
At least yours
Um,
was more entertaining than my, wireless internet interruptions.
yeah, I should have been more expressive. Had some crazy looks.
I mean,
So,
I don't know that
oh,
you can compete, like, we can't have a face-off, John. I think I would win.
maybe that's true. Maybe I'm gonna end it on one. I'm gonna end it on one. We'll test this. Watch, it won't work this. Yeah, it worked.
Oh, John, why? Why do I have to have that image in my eyeballs?
That's perfect. I did
Oh,
a
boy.
full heart of it on the screen.
Oh, boy.
They're coming, but it's not there. So that's how we'll leave you. Thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you, Andrea, and we'll see everybody next time.
Of course. Cheers, everybody.